El Camino can be translated as the walk, the road, the way, path, or bypath. But the one I feel best fits it is the way, because it's really all about finding your way, whether it be in a literal physical sense or just in the spiritual or your place in the world. So today I'm going to tell you about the Camino's origins, traditions, and what it's like to walk a modern day Camino. If we look once again at the meaning of the words, Santiago, when you separate it out, means San, Saint, Tiago, James. So it's really no surprise that El Camino de Santiago is based around Saint James, but it has routes coming from all over Europe to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela in the city of Santiago, Spain, obviously. But according to the history of El Camino de Santiago, pilgrimage began around 950 AD, and they were along established trade routes. While it's not crazy, the idea that St. James was buried in Santiago, since he spent most of his life preaching along the Iberian Peninsula, this becomes a little more far-fetched when you take into account that he was killed in the Middle East and believed to be brought back by a stone boat. Nevertheless, pilgrimages increased. Many people at the beginning did it as a form of sacrifice. They would walk the pilgrimage barefoot while their feet bled, or whip themselves with a cat of nine tails, or even carry a cross on their back while they traveled. Thanks to the support of many Catholic kings along the route, it grew in popularity. They saw the economic opportunities that went with it, and the prevalence of Catholicism also helped support it. Many of the kings themselves even took to walking the trails. All right, now we can continue on our way over to the traditions of El Camino de Santiago. According to the invention of the symbology of St. James the Apostle, the shell has been the oldest symbol of St. James. It symbolizes on the outside the physical part of a human being's growth, and on the inside, the meat of it, the spiritual. These yellow shell tiles point the way along El Camino, and gold inlaid shells are set into the pavement of cities along the path. The next traditions begin as we wind down our journey on El Camino. At the end of your journey, it is common to race whoever you're with to the top of King's Hill, which is the last hill along the El Camino de Santiago. From there, you can see the whole city of Santiago laid beneath you. Then you reach the statue at the top. It's common practice to leave your shoes at the feet of St. James and walk into the city of Santiago barefoot. When you get to Santiago, most pilgrims immediately go to the cathedral, which is where they have every night the Pilgrim's Mass, at which a giant incenser is swung from one end of the church to the other. It takes 7 priests to help swing it. All right. Now I'm going to teach you one last tradition. It's really important on El Camino to make bonds with your fellow travelers. And the common way of doing this is the greeting Buen Camino. So now that you know how to greet fellow travelers, we can start our own modern Camino. I had the wonderful experience of walking El Camino Primitivo this summer, which is a primitive one across the northern part of Spain. It begins in the Pyrenees Mountains and goes all the way through the top of Spain down to Santiago. Most people travel El Camino Francés. 260,000 pilgrims travel El Camino de Santiago every year, and 46% of those travel El Camino Francés. That's why El Camino Primitivo is more primitive, and there are fewer travelers. But it's also, in my opinion, one of the more beautiful ones, since you're going through Galicia, or Spain's rainforest. Along the way, you stay in albergues like this. They're usually pretty small, but as you get closer to Santiago, they become bigger and nicer. And in the larger cities, these albergues can be huge buildings with 40 beds on every floor. While most of the cities I stayed at had about 50 to 5,000 people staying there. Some of them were bigger, like our starting spot, Oviedo, or Lugo with its 2,000-year-old Roman walls, or Santiago with its towering cathedrals, music, and art. Of course, there's many stereotypes about El Camino, thinking you have to be Catholic to walk it. When in reality, many of the pilgrims I met had no spiritual connection to it, but were looking for a cultural immersion or just their own type of spiritual way. You don't necessarily have to be Catholic. In fact, you don't even have to speak Spanish. Many other pilgrims can speak German, Dutch, but the common language is really English. All right, now we've reached El Finisterre, or where El Camino reaches the ocean. This is the end of the Camino, and if we look for one last time at the meaning of the words, El Finisterre means the end of the world. So when you look out at the expansive ocean at the end, after learning El Camino's origins, traditions, and walking your own Camino, it really doesn't seem so far-fetched that this could be the end of the world.
And we're finally out. There we go. You're gonna have a little extra on the end of your Stu Peppers.
All right.
What an amazing opportunity! How did you? First of all, who went with you? You did, or did you go? Did you get to go on your own?
No, my dad has cousins in London, and we have an aunt in Germany, so we were visiting them, and then my dad and I walked to that.